welcome to the show. We got Egg White in the cut. Thank you for coming on the show. He's a new friend. I met him this year in Boston with Low Res, and thank you for coming on the show. I'm looking forward to talking with you.
Hey, I'm very happy, very happy to be here. When I linked up with this man, do you want to? Can I call you Mike?
Mike,
what do you want
yes.
to call you? All right, when I get up with this boy Mike, you know what I'm saying? I mean, this man, okay, this alpha male, sigma, whatever flavor you like to savor. I seen this guy pull up. He was pulling up in a vehicle with our dear friend Jay Corrales, cinemateur, professional. And right away, I was like, okay, I'm already feeling this dude's wavelength. He starts telling me what he's got going on. He started telling me about he's in the culture. Okay, you know what? No vulture. He's invited to the cookout. I'm talking about buffets with mobility scooters. That's how we were getting down. I needed one when we were walking around. Damn, I was in pains. I'm telling you, I spent too much of this year working as a professional gambler, so I was just seat-ridden for so long, and I got fat and out of shape. And once we were out there hitting them dusty trails, oh, man, I tell you, it was, I was scorching.
We did a fucking marathon. Like, I swear, I had rashes on my legs, and in the morning I had to fucking go to Target. Thank you, Jerry, for, going with me to Target. And, again, I have my beefs with Jerry, but I would like to stop the Jerry beef right now. I fuck with Jerry, I fuck with all of them, but oh my gosh, that was so much walking. We had so many good moments. We went to the clam from Family Guy. We literally did.
Yeah, I think you guys might have went there. I can't remember. I don't remember that we went there, but
yes.
What I do know is it's one of those things where you're looking back on it at the time. I'm like, why? Like, dude, why not look at Google Maps? It'll tell you how to walk too. Like, we're getting led around in a wild goose chase, which for me, I can only chase tame geese. Wild geese are not for me, in my condition. So, it's one of those things in the heat of the moment as I'm in horrible aching pain. I'm walking like some kind of knuckle dragging four-legged animal to try and evade as much, abrasion and pain and cramps as possible. But looking back, several months down the line, it was a good time, and everything we did there was a lot of fun all the same. So I'm happy that it all came together.
And I think it's safe to say that officially on the record, the Is It Kino podcast is superior to the Movies podcast because of the pool game. And I feel like kind of a traitor for contributing to your side of the aisle as I've been on Movies and not on your show. But I was happy to help you secure that win. Winner takes it all.
All I'm saying, I'm not sure. We'll have to see how it turns out. But there was a little something being filmed, a companion piece, right? A little behind the scenes kind of thing going on. And I feel like us Is It Kino persons, we might have been just bringing a little more flavor to the tapes. I don't know. With all due respect, maybe it was a close call, but I'm from Wisconsin, and it's the most alcoholic state in the entire country. They got the most bars per county per person or whatever.
Yeah.
So, what I'm saying, when it gets groovy, when it gets funky, when the beats are flowing, and whatever's going on, what I'm saying, I'm very informed to conduct myself under different circumstances. So, and maybe certain people from other cultures, maybe nothing in particular. When Costa Rica maybe is a complete, just tossing it out there, just randomly and with no relevance to anybody. Maybe they're not doing it like we do up here in America in certain aspects, in certain regards. So
they don't know.
Yeah. Maybe we earned our stripes there. We'll leave that up for the viewers to decide and the listeners too.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. Wisconsin, damn. Are you a Packers fan? You must be devastated, huh?
Well, my entire family is from Wisconsin, and they all moved to Minnesota. We had to move when I was a baby because we didn't live near any cities with hospitals in Wisconsin, so we had to move to the nearest hospital, which is Minnesota. So it became this strange kind of thing. It was like, even though we're like 30 miles apart at most, like some of my family members that stayed in the old homeland, across the Mississippi River, diehard Packer for life, like cheese, all the memorabilia, framed Favre jerseys, framed, all the, everything you can think of. And then also, of course, on my Minnesota side, they had framed Favre jerseys from when he switched over to the Vikings.
Yeah.
And it was like, like the way that my family lived that out was like somebody who's been married for 30 years, like engaging in a scandalous affair. It was like, they all had Favre jerseys, signed Favre photos on the wall, this stuff. He goes to the Vikings, they're smashing the stuff into pieces. That's just how it was. It was a real heavy duty situation.
Yeah.
So anyways, not to say, I've never been able to be too much of a Vikings fan though, because they always suck every year. So I'm kind of like a shapeshifter a little bit. Historically, Vikings has just been kind of to my name, living where I live. But, in a pinch, which is every single season because they always suck, I could fall back on being a Packers fan to the front-facing public outside of my family anyway.
So you're like you got two teams. You got by teaming. You know what I'm saying? And so you grew up in Minnesota, is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
So are you Somalian? So are you part Somalian?
I lived in a 95% Somali neighborhood for over a year, and about maybe 1 or 2 weeks after I moved out of my apartment there was when ISIS attacked in St. Cloud, Minnesota. There was an ISIS attack at the mall that I actually worked at a point. I didn't work there for.
Oh, this isn't a joke anymore. I feel like this is actually. Oh shit.
Oh yeah, that's not. It's not. You can look it up. Like September 2016. I think it was the Crossroads Mall.
Shit.
If I remember right. But yes, it really happened there. People who I worked with, I did cell phone repair there at the mall, and they were like under the table. Like it was one of those kiosks actually, like towards the end where I worked at that had got attacked. Like somebody jumped over the counter, started shanking somebody.
And just a random stabbing? That's crazy.
Yeah, it was for the glory of, well, I'll just keep it real. They said it was Allahu Akbar, this is for the glory of Allah. They started stabbing a random employee.
He didn't like those prices of those kiosks. I mean, they're always too expensive over there. Jeez.
No, I mean they do pester you a lot. I mean, I'm thinking about walking in with a vest some days too, if you know what I'm saying. I'm talking about a love vest to tell everybody how much I love them. That is. Yeah,
that's it. Exactly right. Yeah. The perfume and shit. It's like I would love to have the money to pay for this perfume, and I would love to have a girlfriend to pay it for. So, but I guess not.
Hey, for anybody out there that lives near a Target, Target has cologne dupes lately. They're duping like Tom Ford and Versace and Gucci and all this stuff, and they keep putting testers out in the perfume department. I've been putting on $100 cologne every day for free. Just going to Target. I just stop by Target on my way wherever I'm going. I hit a couple to the neck
before the date.
When I go home and shower, I just like leave the neck alone so it stays like cologned up. I'm washing my hair, I'm like holding it up. I'm like, just keep the cologne pure. But yeah, I mean, you can go over there and hit them testers. I'd highly recommend it. If you're near one, go check it out. Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor, damn yeah. And you're in Iowa right now, is that correct?
That's right. I'm a true, proud Iowan citizen. Iowa's been kind of going viral on these pages lately because they said all these coastal persons, they're like, they keep quoting all these boomers on Facebook or whatever. They're like, why don't you just go live in this cheap house in Iowa? And I went to college for 4 years and spent all this money, and you want me to live in some shack in Iowa? Oh my goodness, I'm far too proud. Listen, I'm gonna tell you like this: as an American citizen, if somebody is in your peripheral vision, turning their nose up, it's like, well, I'm far too proud to sink to that level. I would advise looking into sinking to that level as soon as possible, because, I'm not saying you should demean yourself or whatever, but in the instance of like living in a trailer or whatever, it's this low class. they have houses here that are the $100,000 price or whatever, and that's now considered cheap at this point or less. I think I had a house in my neighborhood that sold for like 70 or 90,000, somewhere in that ballpark, for like a full house, like maybe 3-4 bedroom, 2 bathroom, I think.
Damn.
They look at it and they go, oh, well, who would live in that? Some cornfields and it's garbage and it's trash. And it's like, well, that's what they were saying. There was houses in my neighborhood in Minnesota that were going up for 100,000 back in like 2019. They're like 700,000 now or whatever. Like, it's so crazy, out of control. Like, the materials are all gone. Where it's just so nutty. But people turn their nose up for so long, and the people that were actually willing to look and engage and look at these markets and look at what was going on and give it some real thought. I mean, it's not a good thing to bet that things are going to get worse. It just kind of happens that, at least in my life, I'm going to be 35 years old this year. In my adult life, the last 18 years has been all a recession constantly, which is worse and worse in that regard.
Yeah. What age did you turn 18?
2009.
That must have been interesting.
It was a good, the 2010s, it seemed very like, I don't know, that, Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and all this stuff was first coming out and first existing. So it seemed like really strange. It was like almost these were little silly apps. Like we had like Picto Chat on our DS, and now it's like, oh, now we're going to Snapchat each other and stuff. And we're taking pictures instead of drawing. It seemed like very, it didn't seem revolutionary necessarily at the time. It was just something that we kind of had before, but it was a little bit different.
I remember
and really, it all of a sudden ended up going all crazy on us. So I'm glad that I was able to, be a teenager throughout the 2000s and have a childhood in the 90s too. That was nice.
You ever just like think to yourself like, we're in the future now, like we're literally in the future right now with all this, like, you can ask a robot if you see Billie Eilish, and I'm not condoning this, but if you see Billie Eilish on some random post, you can just ask a robot to put her in a bikini in 5 fucking seconds. Like, what?
Yes. And all I'm going to say is, if you know, you can do much worse and very easy. I like how certain sites out there, actually, if you know, there's been certain sites that have had to do a range ban on the country of India because the traffic was so extreme on some of these websites where you're able to do these AI things that like they were getting involuntarily DDoS'd by India constantly, like taken down, so they had to like block Indian traffic.
Yeah.
The rest of the people that are showing up are the Indians that live in other countries that aren't India. So I thought that was pretty funny. But hey, you know what? Just goes to show that the future is here, as far as that if you put yourself out there in a digital way, you no longer are yourself. You've now assimilated into the Borg, the hive mind, the big old dragnet, whatever. It owns your entire being at this point. So pretty freaky stuff. But I do like how ChatGPT is giving me some really good recipes as a man on the fuller figured side, and he's really been coming up with some good stuff. Like it's like the perfect novice. I mean, I'm not saying I'm a novice, but I like to cook novice recipes because it's easy. And you can just like tell him, like you can just tell ChatGPT like your vibes, like, oh, yeah, like I don't know, like I'm kind of dragging today, maybe something a little spicy, maybe something with a little bit of like cream and add oregano, and like to come up with like a perfect recipe that includes these things. I tell you, what a beautiful time for that anyway. Just because people are having their bodies turned into digital sex slave golems that are used by complete freaks and absolute disgusting sicko perverts. I mean, that's there, and we're better off whenever it's gone. But the recipes are nice. The food, very agreeable.
Yeah. Jarvis, how do you make lean? You know what I mean? Like that's what Jarvis target Israel. That's what I mean. This is so much great stuff about these about Jarvis, about that, stuff like that. I wish there was one where you actually just be like, yo, Jarvis, like you program and be like, yo, your name's Jarvis, or else we're not doing this. I'm canceling my subscription. And you that's what we need, because there's a certain thing about saying that,
I think you could force Grok to like refer to itself as Jarvis. One of the first times I was using Grok was like probably about 8 or 9 months ago, and I was like contemplating some things. I typed it in, came back like a week later, and I said something else, and it was like, oh, that reminds me of our conversation we had last week. It was I'm like, yo, this is, okay, you're freaking me out now. I'm closing out. I ain't talking to Grok anymore.
It's like when Hal's like, I'm sorry, Dave. Like, it's like one of them type of man.
Yeah, it's like, you're supposed to not remember what I told you before. Just keep it, my schizophrenic, thoughts that are making me toss and turn at night that I need to put into an AI LLM to give me some closure to. Do it a one and done. Stop scanning my brain. Stop taking my DNA. No Neuralink for me, please, at this moment. Yeah.
You don't consent. Officially on the record, you don't consent. If you need it in life-altering surgery, maybe we can make an exception. But yeah, that's amazing right there. Well, like, you've been on the internet a bit longer than me, right? How has the internet changed, but also remained the same since you've been on it?
Well, I mean, it has changed significantly, I would say. So the first account that I can really put a date to that I still had access to into my adult life was created in May of 2000 on Newgrounds. So it was my first account that I know of for sure that I made. But I mean, I probably logged on in like 98, 99 for the first time.
Yeah.
And, like 2000 and up from there was really just became a big part of everything I had going on. I mean, just there's the whole Eternal September thing that has been going around, but I feel like we've really kind of maybe jumped the shark, crossed the Rubicon, whatever you want to say when it comes to that, because just the absolute massive onboarding of people who really probably didn't need to be online that occurred with both smartphones and then is better connection, better cable or whatever is put through to the full US and to all these other countries across the world, to where you're having just such a massive gathering of people all in one space.
Yeah.
Things were a lot more particular and refined before, like before there was Discord and really even Reddit for that matter. We had our own websites, we had our own forums and boards. Like, you could show up any time of day, type of night. Like, you'd go on and make a thread like, oh my goodness, today guys, let's log in for the game at 5:30 p.m. or whatever, and then you log off, and then you'd reconnect later on.
Yeah.
You log in, you type in like epicgamer.net/forum/1/new or whatever. You had your little sub forum URL that you'd have memorized or bookmarked or in your history or whatever, and you'd have that little ping like new reply to your thread. Oh yeah, bro, I'm gonna have dinner with my mom, but then I'll be back on at 5:45 to do. All right, cool. And it was like you could have these accounts with these sort of personable one-on-one discussions, but then also you're engaging in those larger political topic conversations or whatever you had got going on. There was like your account on these forums would be more than just there was like a deeper connection there. There was a greater identity kind of woven in. I did meetups with people from gaming forums and stuff when I was a teenager, and different things like that. Before it was when things were made to be a little slower and a little more heavy, a little more weighted.
Yes.
That's just not what it is now. It's like, even besides just the communication aspect, the content is all, very short form, ADHD, take something and forget it immediately. There's no weight to anything like that. And it's just kind of a continuous churning slop. And you get also, it's very profitable for certain people. Like, now that I'm back on Twitter, I see it often. Just let's steal whatever everybody reacted to the most in our big public Discord with 20,000 people. We're going to spam this picture as replies to everything, or we're going to quote tweet and spam it.
Yeah.
And that's how they're going to maximally engage that account. And then it's very profitable for them because they have this whole thing of however many views you get on Twitter, you get paid for it. And it's sort of that mentality spread to different platforms as well. And it also, I think, comes in hand with we had these serious hobbyist discussions before. Nothing's really niche anymore. Nothing's really unusual anymore. And even if it is, it's sort of like somebody that is out there whose job it is to expose something that's niche or try to package it in a desirable way that's beneficial to their own selves.
Mm-hmm.
They're out there looking for that as well. You get this often on social media. It's like, oh, this is what you didn't know. You didn't know about this place right here. You didn't know this is the website that you need to know that you never heard about. Whatever, different things like that. It has to do with, I think, a reduction in hobbyist behaviors, maybe overall for younger people, in the fact that even model builders and painters and things like that maybe are not having as much disposable income in these younger years. The job market is not as good to be able to facilitate some of these hobbyist lifestyles.
Yes.
And then also on the same note, these people who are able to approach these topics or these communities, whatever, on a very basic level, a very digestible level, they are in that same situation where their economic mobility is insufficient. It's at an undesirably low level. And if they sort of insist upon themselves in sort of regurgitating the basic levels of the community or whatever it might be, a hobby, an interest, this
Yes.
will be financially beneficial for them. And so they have a desire to not engage in a weighted and full way. They want to just kind of play in the shallow water to their own benefit. So I think you have all that kind of coming together. as a real double-edged sword as to why things are not what they used to be. And also, largely, people just aren't particularly concerned to like make some grand effort to stand and hold their ground to try and change it. Those who are in the minority.
Yeah, like people that have like certain like other softwares that they're starting, like Odyssey or something, like weird communities and shit, you know, like and I remember I forget who I did this interview with, but somebody was mentioning how they marketed their art. I think it was music or entertainment, whatever. And they were like, I took at the model and I look at the audience of one. And I'm thinking, I don't ever want to hear that fucking term ever again. Like audience of one, fuck all that. Like, no, like we need these like small little pockets. I remember like 10 years ago, there was like comic book YouTube. Like you would review comic books and you would do comic book hauls. I did this. I would do comic book hauls. I go to the comic book shop and I get the newest releases of comics. And it would be like, the Batman's doing, this is the new Batman story, and or this comic costs this much money because of this film that's coming out. And I bet these things probably still exist, but like it's probably like in the form of some like Instagram short form real YouTube, and it's this whatever short form content, it's whatever. I'm not like some crusader against it. I prefer long form content. You know, that it just compels me more. But like these, I would say that like these communities have been, what do you call it, like pushed and concentrated into certain sites, just a few sites, and it's a very interesting thing. Like the lack of what do you call it? There's a centralization that's occurring with communities, and it's like really interesting to me. I don't know what caused this. I mean, you explained it way more in depth than I could. Maybe there's hobby factors or something, but you know, I would totally agree that there's a lack of what you call hobbyist community type of things.
Well, and it goes into, like I said, with the greater and greater capabilities that people who normally would have no interest in being a part of anything online, they're just kind of put into it by their mobile phones and by the ease of access and user interface on these apps.
Yes.
And so what then happens is in the olden days where there would be, you know, like, oh, like when Justin Wang or somebody make a video about like, oh, this was the thread that lasted 5 years in argument or whatever. Like you don't have that anymore because you know, somebody's going to say something on one site, it's going to get screenshotted. They're going to have like a caption over the top, like this is what so-and-so actually believes. And then they're posting it on another site where it's just being, you know, retweeted or shared or whatever a whole lot. It's just kind of this, how would I say? Once it just plays into the fact that there's no connection like that anymore. It's all very disconnected. It's just these little flash in the pan dopamine bursts. So whereas, and people will, once again, usually for a attention or financial reason for their benefit, they like to do this engagement bait. So they'll say something intentionally provocative or wrong or whatever, just to get a lot of people interacting with it because it benefits them in some kind of way, usually financially. And so even it's just the lack of authenticity, like there's no real desire to engage. And maybe if there are some of these few pockets out there that are like that, they get they're desirable to be infiltrated or to be kind of toyed with, harassed, usually for the joys of some young person that's, I don't want to say like the shardy is not some people that necessarily do this to a lot of people. Usually if they're going after somebody and trolling them, it's some freaks who have it coming, and I appreciate what they do very much, but just still like kind of the idea, and not that we didn't do that in my day, you know, we definitely did a lot of trolling and raiding and
we do a little trolling, yeah.
But it's sort of like now it just reminds me, there was a quote from a guy who was like I forget exactly, it was like Elijah Goldberg or something. Mm-hmm. I'm a little foggy on his name, but he had like been arrested for like some really great terroristic threats. I think he has a pretty bad reputation with a lot of people online, so it's not that I exalt him necessarily. I forget exactly what his background and track record is.
Yes.
At leisure to speak, but anyway, he had a quote along the lines of, you know, we kind of exhausted all the avenues of trolling. You don't really have those. Or at least it's very rare. You have somebody who's like completely inept and so gullible or naive to fall into like some of these old school trolling things. What happens then instead is, it becomes a bit more sadistic, becomes a bit more forceful, a bit more disturbed. Like it's not there for laughs anymore. You have people who are like having multiple Telegram accounts or Discord accounts. They spend significant amounts of their time like trying to be involved in like sexual violence and grooming and things like that. And so when all the trolling has been exhausted, it just becomes like the sort of sour, sadistic behavior. And I think that is unfortunately to an extent something that we see when you have these niche little groups. They're trying to kind of keep their own thing split out, but if they have a public accessibility, it's desirable to some of these people to kind of step in. And I know I was there before. Like I ran a Minecraft server just for fun one time, and people like came to the Discord like spamming Christchurch mosque shooting like gifs and other gore and like deviant pornography and stuff. It's just that's like where it is. It's the kind of the elegance to how we did it back in the day, kind of the artistic sort of performative. I don't know. It's kind of just seems like it's been replaced with more like nihilism and things like that. So
destruction.
Yeah, going off on a tangent here, but it's just it does add a layer to if you're just like having a very neutral and community and it's out there, you're going to be subjected to some of these things that wouldn't have necessarily been the norm maybe back in those days, or would have been in a tamer, more humanized way.
I would compare what I'm hearing from you. I don't really have much experience on the trolling side of things, but what I'm hearing is like the way rap beefs are, well, not all the time, but a lot of the way rap beefs in smaller cities are done through violence is kind of like a more what you call like disrespectful form of dueling 200 years ago. And the way of how disrespectful, and it's like you got to catch somebody when they're not expecting it, and you got to get them quick. But in dueling, it was like, this is my name, you're going to look me in the eye, and we're going to shoot each other, fucking kill each other. But it was with respect and swagger,
Yeah, I would say a good example is, with rap beefs, if we take it even back to like the mid 2000s, maybe even like almost the late 2000s, where it was very... the basis on a beef like that would be, oh, my numbers are better than you, my rep is better than you, I'm fresher than you, I'm styling on you, I can take your bitch, et cetera, et cetera. Like that's how we kind of break that, and also with lyricism as well.
Yes.
And once we got into the drill era, I think why that starts popping up in Chicago in the late 2000s, like post recession. Why do I think that we kind of started drifting from I'm fresher than you, that like I'm killing you, I'm smoking your dead homie, I'm killing you, etc. It's that same economic, that same sort of paralysis on your economic mobility. Like as the hood becomes more and more looking like you're not going to have a way out any other type of way, and you see that this does kind of provide at least the notoriety of it, the infamy of it, the shock value maybe, and now that you're still not having this real anger in your heart as well because of your environment and your circumstance that you're coming from.
Yes.
But this sort of shocking element to it is very marketable for those same people who they just the dopamine lights have been kind of hitting at the same wattage for a while, and then you all of a sudden have something that's like, and you're like, whoa, hold up, stop the presses. This just gave me a new feeling in my very cold, dreary, nihilistic paralysis that I'm existing in. I felt a little bit of humanity, even if it's negative energy. Something just shocked my system. I'm trying to see what this is about, and I'm going to pay attention to it. And I think that's where we get sort of the increased disrespect. And it's really, it's really a trap for real, because you get these rappers that, it's just over and over again. We have so many talented artists that end up killing each other. We're not even getting like these shining stars lasting like how we did back. The rappers who were rapping in 2005, they might not be having them same hits, but they've got those hits still. They're out there they're performing still. Rappers who are coming up like 2012, 2013 to now, I think we're seeing a lot more rappers get killed without really being able to enjoy the fruits of their labor comparatively to like the previous 10, 15 years before that.
I think I don't know who it started with. I mean, I would say from my knowledge of rap, I would say it would be like starting whenever Lil Snoop or Speaker Knockers died. I mean, maybe there's some Chicago people I just don't know about, or what, like Lil Joe. I don't know. Isn't he Lil JoJo?
JoJo World. Yeah, because when he dropped
Cracking Trays, we BD whatever that was.
BDK. Yeah, when he dropped BDK, I mean, that really put the city up for real, because like Lil JoJo, like if you check his, I'm saying, like most people, they just know him as like being the one that kind of got things popping as far as the just the general gang activity. Like his death was like this huge moment, but he really had, so like he could really rap for real. Like he was able to do that. He was like really somebody who, despite being this young small dude, he was able to make these raps that people really were feeling, and he was really in the streets too at the same time. So he had a reputation there, which then his death was sort of like the first of the back and forths. I mean, at least for this new era, because I think there was a couple killings like late 2000s. I mean, I knew some of this back at the time. Nowadays, they got all these YouTube documentaries you can check out. There's a lot of, like Trap Lord Ross or whatever, where he's got all this in-depth stuff. But I mean, it was there was definitely a spotlight that would get shown on the music when the violence became incorporated, for sure. Like, I mean, not even just in that old NWA kind of way, but like this, where somebody would drop a song. I think OG Man, what was that? It was probably 2014, right? I think, if I remember right, just like some real crazy stuff going on. Like that would make everybody stop and look at a situation when maybe before it was easier to overlook the music if they weren't really having any extra antics attached to it.
Yeah, with videos being put out every day about some shit. Like, yeah. What was fun, me and you were like the only people at the Hangout, like in August, that like knew about music. Like not music. I'm sure they know other music that I don't know about. But weird rap shit from the 2010s. Me and you know all about. Because you make music yourself. How did you get started with that? I mean, you're putting out a lot of more songs recently, specifically last year, and they're all awesome. So talk about how you got into that.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, with me in music, I was an award-winning poet when I was 8 years old. I think I might have been 7, but I was on the front page of my newspaper, and my mother still has a clipping of it somewhere. But in the local paper, whenever I was front page, because like I won an award for my poetry. I don't know, I learned, I taught myself how to read when I was 2 years old, and so I just read everything I get my hands on. This was before I was starting school or anything like that. But once I did start school, they had these little poetry books, and I really enjoyed that a lot. And so I was really into poetry, like from early on, really into writing. And I mean, I grew up like my parents would listen to like 80s rock and stuff like that, but I did have, a little bit of poverty in my my upbringing, and I did, sometimes be around some people who, especially because I jumped off the porch at about 11. So I mean, but like even before that, for like a couple of years, maybe 2-3 years before that, I was just around some people that would be playing like certain types of rap and things like that. So I kind of got familiar with it, and I still like rock and roll probably more than that. But as I got older too, and I was kind of out there, kind of doing a little street shit, a little petty thug shit, stuff like that. I'd be listening to more rap. I really enjoyed I listened to like a lot of Too Short, a lot of like Ghetto Boys.
Yes.
Pac and Biggie, of course. I got onto 3-6 probably about the year 2000. I can't remember. I think it was around that time. I got put onto like DJ Screw. This is more like maybe like around 2004, 2005, because I'd be like in the trap or whatever, and kind of work with, like, this was what it was. We come around, we did little things, we did little petty stuff to get some money, but nothing like so super crazy or anything. But they'd be playing DJ Screw up in there. They'd be playing like Baby Bash, South Park Mexican, K Reno, these different artists like that. And that was really my exposure. Like I think for all time, my whole life, probably my most favorite music is like DJ Screw tapes. Like I'll never there's never a point in my life where I won't want to be listening to a DJ Screw tape. So I got put onto that, about that time. And I mean, I'd still be listening to other stuff too. I've always just really enjoyed all kinds of music, but that's what I was on at that point. And when I graduated high school, I said, man, I was a really bad student. I don't think I'm going to end up going to college or anything. So I got myself some stuff to make beats with. I went on and like made like a Facebook account, got this big Facebook account where I was making beats and selling them and stuff like that. But it was just, it was like I don't know, the environment. I don't think I knew what I was really doing with the environment at the time. And, but it was funny is that I didn't even listen to Kanye or anything like that in the 2000s. But as I was making beats, I would be like unknowingly I was making like Kanye style beats. Like I was really with going down. I was really into digging in the crates. We had like a DITC movement like on Facebook. We had like a big group and we do vinyl polls. We'd be looking for certain things. They didn't have like what they have now where you could say, oh, what sample this, da da da. You'd have to go, you had to listen to the music and find something. I'd find something I like, and then I would start chopping it up on my boards. And but the thing of it was I was trying to do that for a living. And even though I had like 7,000 followers or whatever, and I was working with some of these like underground rappers from the East Coast, it just it wasn't going to be as reliable as actual work was for me. Like I was out there kind of trying to hawk these little MP3s, these little waves, and everything. It just wasn't really sustainable at that time. So I kind of just went over there, got myself a regular job, but I still, was really on that conscious wave with like that East Coast rap specifically, like really the late 2000s, early 2010s. I was really feeling it. And then I kind of got onto Odd Future, and I was on Lil Durk and Chief Keef and all different types of stuff moving forward from there. But it's kind of how that type of music came in with me. I always was singing and dancing and stuff as a kid. I played piano, I played guitar, and I liked that. But I wasn't very confident though either. Like I liked it a lot, but I was kind of shy about actually like performing in front of people. So I would do it, but I really had to be like pushed to do it. And then I just kind of ended up, I thought like I would never be a musician myself. And that's another reason why I came in at that point in my life around the time I turned 18 doing the beats, because it's like, all right, I can kind of be in the background. I'm going to be here really enjoying this music. I'm going to make it sound how I want it to sound with my equipment and with what I'm working with. But I'm not going to put myself out there because I was shy about doing that kind of thing.
Yes.
But I think probably it started when I was in college. I was in a Ventrilo group of guys. We like played like certain video games together. Like I was just on my laptop in my apartment, and I don't know. It wasn't like freestyles, but they would just like have me try to like do on the spot little raps. It wasn't like what I do now, but just like very kind of slow tempo and just kind of over the top, kind of stereotypical types of words, like whatever. I was probably picking up like off of 2 Chainz verses like, my bitch, she's so bad. Yeah, so bad it'll make you sad. What? Pussy really drive me mad. Ooh, scabies, I ain't got no scale or whatever. I don't know, just random words, but I try to like sound like a rapper, and they'd be like, yo, man, this sounds like real, dude. And a lot of those guys ended up following me, like even into the late like 2010s, and kind of seeing what I eventually had going on. This is like 2012 maybe. But that's kind of where I started feeling a little bit different. And then I started hitting like karaoke bars, trying to sound better. It took me a long time to kind of learn how to not be out of tune, but eventually I got a little bit better. And then I just do what I do today. I'm not the best at like being a driven musician, like really having like great ambitions. I just kind of do whatever I feel like doing. And so my output isn't super, consistent or substantial, but I do have like hundreds of freestyles that I've done on live streams and stuff over the years. And so I know that I could do things if I wanted to. I just, I'm like when I was a student in school, they're like, oh, well, he's smart, but he's bored. He's not applying himself.
He's got potential.
Laziness, but
yeah. Or like, was Fedpost Redacted a freestyle? Or like
that was, yeah. So we, somebody had asked me to listen to the new Joey song Redacted. And so I don't know if you look up these dates, it probably is like maybe just a couple weeks apart at best. But somebody said, oh, bro, go listen to that new Redacted. And I was like, oh, well, we had posted online like Fedpost Redacted, like as replies to certain things. They're like, oh, this made me so mad, Fedpost Redacted. So the term had been out there, and a lot of these things that I've actually made that are songs over the years are very heavily derivative of what is maybe a popular thing at the time. And it's not that I'm seeking to capitalize on it necessarily, but I'm somebody who I can get kind of fixated on memes. And so like if something kind of has my attention or whatever, I might put my mind to it and kind of spit something out about it for the one time and then move on. So Fed Post Redacted, yeah, was born of that sort of the mentality of like saying something sort of a little bit violent or a little bit ruthless or risky, maybe that you would not choose to normally put into a post online.
Yeah.
And also just kind of basing it off the fact. Also, I had that instrumental license from a producer who I'd worked with for some other stuff. I did that's the same producer that I did Lunar Pirouette with.
Mm-hmm.
I forget his name off the top of my head, but so I'd licensed both of these instrumentals from him at that time, and so I just had it to work with. I put it up in my Audacity to record, and it was a complete freestyle improvisation. Yes,
it's awesome. And then Alex Minassian's awesome. Like, you got a lot of, and even the new stuff like Criminal Satisfaction. That's like, I don't even know, like that. I could name a couple of producers that reminds me of, but like, I mean, probably like DJ Smokey type stuff, or like DJ Young Van, whatever the fucking
yeah, like
shit.
the
I like it a lot. I like what
like the SGP type beat scene around that, because I think I probably got that beat in like 2021 or 2022 for like Criminal Satisfaction.
Yes,
like the Black Money Boys or whatever, the BMB. There was just a certain type of beat going on, and also I think it's one of the same producers I had. I think it's on my SoundCloud called Everest. There was just a certain sound time, and I like the sound. I would not have any problem going back to it whatsoever, but I don't know. It's just hasn't been what's been on my mind lately. I could certainly do that kind of music, but it's not something that I'm like crazy to do, or like that I really have a strong desire to do. I should probably put out a mixtape of some kind here. I got so much material and everything to work with in that regard, but I don't know. I just have fun doing the freestyles more than anything. Like, it's more fun for me to freestyle than it is for me to like lay a track. So I just do whatever I want, and I make a lot of money off it too, because people will send me $10-20 a track and ask me to like hit their beat and see how what they could do with it, like based on how I hit it from the first time. See like if it's a new type of sound they hadn't been thought about. So they kind of have me like test drive their beats for like $10-20 a pop. So.
All right, so how did the song Alex Minassian come about? That's one of your like bigger songs, and it's featured in the TFW No Girlfriend documentary, which is like, yeah, you know about that. So yeah.
Well, you know what? It's funny. I like to say like, oh, I have licensed music in a feature film. I'm in like the ASCAP or whatever, like but I signed over like the way that I signed this license for whatever, and I don't get residuals. So, but it's I got this credit anyway.
Yeah.
So I was talking a little bit earlier about how like I used to play this Ventrilo group when I was in college, and I did these little like kind of joke raps, but it was the first time I ever really tried performing anything in front of like an audience, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was a guy named Wesley who was really infamous in that group at the time, because he was like a morbidly obese, ate Hot Pockets, like yelled at his mom from the basement, all that different type of stuff.
Yes.
But he ended up getting his stuff together. He was kind of a little bit of our own, like what you might call a lolcow at the time, but he got his life together, became a trucker. But around the time in 2018, he would watch my live streams and he would say, man, I really want to try being like you want to do like hardcore rock and roll, like deathcore or death metal or something like that. And he wanted like somebody he wanted me to basically contribute in like something where I was like, for like this hardcore sound he was looking for, it's like really like some screaming stuff. And I was like, well, I never did anything like that before. So I went on that day to YouTube and just looked up like latest type beats that had been uploaded. And this beat for that ended up being the Alek Minassian beat, was one of those beats. So I was like, okay, this sounds kind of sharp. It's abrasive, but it's heavy at the same time. It's got a lot of weight to it for the composition. It's a good balance of like heavy hitting, but kind of like these high peaks of abrasion at the same time.
Yes.
So I did that. I made the song, maybe about 3 minutes or something like that. And then I was like, I had many things on that Twitter account that I had, the Egg White Twitter account. I mean, almost every day I'd record some little snippet of something for fun, post it out, just kind of feel how people were feeling about it. And this was one such thing that I did. And I was like, well, I'll just post the whole 2 minutes because it took me 3 minutes to make. So just a very rough thing to see if anybody responds to this. They goes, oh my God, like, what is this awful garbage? Why are you screaming like a maniac? So I posted it. And I came back. The post uploaded, I went to the store in about 45 minutes. I came back and it had like 300 likes, like 70 retweets, all these quotes and replies like, oh my God, this is the most hardcore song I ever heard in my life. This is incredible. This is amazing. But I never meant for it to be that way. The tweet ended up getting banned by Twitter because it was hate speech. Anybody who uploaded it on YouTube got banned for it. There was a guy who made a documentary about me, and he put it in there, and the documentary got like 2 million views in 2 weeks. Like everybody was like, my Twitter like went crazy. I went from like 3,000 to 9,000 followers on Twitter because he linked it in the thing, and it was going so crazy. And well, then his 2 million view video got banned because it had like 5 seconds of the song in it. Finally, within the last year, it had been up on SoundCloud this whole time. Got banned off SoundCloud for hate speech. And it was never meant at all for me. Like I literally just, like I said, anybody I've told them, like, oh yeah, I just plugged it. Who's the most controversial guy this year? I was gonna do it about Elliot Rodger, but then there was so many already Elliot Rodger raps. So I was like, yeah, let me see who else is like controversial this year. Oh, Alek Minassion, now yeah, whatever, I'll plug him in, whatever. It doesn't matter that much. As long as it kind of rhymes, it'll be fine. Because like the verses were not anything to do with him necessarily. They're just very like provocative, drug, sex, murder, violence kind of lyrics.
Yes,
which was largely inspired from like Eminem and other different artists. I was kind of ripping. It was really just to see, could I do like these vocals, send this to Wesley and say, hey, is this like the kind of vocals that'll work for you? So really just like a no thought, no real ambition track, just to shit it out real quick and then put it up and see if I could scream and see if it sounded right. And yeah, all of a sudden it just did like, I think by the time I was taken down on SoundCloud, I think I probably had about 300,000 on there. A lot of different uploads got like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And so it gets referenced quite often. And I'm like, yeah, it was just something I did real quick. But it's another good example of, I did some other songs later on afterwards with like a similar loud style. But because it didn't have this sort of necessary controversy because of slight bits of subject material in the song, like the guy's name and his identity and then the whole incel thing.
Yeah.
These other songs were very forgettable. And so it goes to show, like how we were talking about before, that this additional edge of controversy being applied to the song can really make all the difference, even if the sonically it's very similar, even if it has some very similar lyrics. Just these little tidbits could take it to the base quote unquote level that's going to make everybody say, oh, this is extra subversive, transgressive, this is what's going to make my parents mad at me, so this is what I want to listen to, not that other shit.
Get disowned. That get disowned music. That's by your parents.
Like it's the FBI agents pull up in black SUVs and pound your door down lyrics. I can tell you that from experience.
Oh yeah, the stream swats. I don't even. That must be terrible.
This was just a regular day in my life. I woke up and they were there to interrogate me.
About what?
Because they thought I was like a conspiratorial figure and like advancing the incel terrorist movement. They needed to interrogate me about, like, did I know or was I in like any terrorist chats or whatever trying to do incel terrorism? I'm like, fuck no, I don't talk to any fucking freaks. It's just me, myself, and I get to anybody who knows me that's listening to this knows that you got to message me about 10 times and I might finally respond like 2 weeks later. It is what it is. It's just kind of how it's been. I used to be a little more attentive, but I would get a lot of this, not exactly terrorism, but I'm somebody who would be easy. It seemed like that people would rope me into their personal lives. They'd be like, oh, I'm just kind of having a bad day. Oh, hey, what's up, man? Whatever, I had a little time. All of a sudden, they're like, oh, I need to come move in with you. And by the way, can you like help pay me my student loans? And by the way, like, if I needed you, would you like fight my parents if I asked you? All this other shit. It's like, who
the fuck is saying that? Somebody asked you to fight their parents? Are you serious? Or is this
It's like, the idea basically, like, just take me like in and, like, oh, I watch you on YouTube. So now like be completely like locked in and involved with everything in my life and all of my problems. Like, I don't mind giving somebody some advice, but it would get like that. It would be like, oh, hey, if I drove through, can you like come to people ask for money, all these different things, and it just became like that. And it kind of ended up with me I became a lot more hands off with these kind of things. It is what it is. I didn't have to be so like accessible at those times, but I was, and then it was just kind of like, it just gets to be too much, because they would then, like, if I say, oh, no, you cannot live with me. I have no idea who you are. You're just some username. It'd be like, oh man, I thought you were real, man. I thought you were cool, man. Actually, I hate you now, and I hope if I ever see you, I'm gonna fuck you up, dude. I hate you. And it's like, well, okay.
Yeah.
So easier to just kind of be chill from the sidelines, give some good vague advice, and like not get so entangled. That's what I've learned.
They call that building a wall. I've heard that from other YouTubers. You got to build a wall between you and your audience. And all that, but again, if the people are actually thinking like this, there needs to start being some literally me egg white edits going on to like the drive music or something. If this is how the people feel, I think that's what the internet needs to further instill, not promote that, but yes, that would be funny if there was those literally me edits of you. But
it's kind of funny because it's like, back in these days, like it's say 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, maybe 2022, before I kind of ended up logging off more, getting back to regular work and all this stuff. I would be, I'd get very energetic and I'd be very passionate and I would talk about certain things in our society and I would get like a lot of people that would really be rallying behind that.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'd get those are when those clips would be made. But now it's like, oh, shit, okay, well, it got to be a little fickle. I couldn't really make a living off of what I was doing. There weren't too many bands. Lost too many different tools that I was using to pay my bills and so on. So I went back to work. Got my credit real good. Got my own place. Moved, to Iowa. Got my own home and all these different things. And it's like now, I mean, I would get messages still from time to time, like, oh, hey, could you give me some advice on this? I'm trying to. Maybe this with my credit, or I'm looking into this field, et cetera, something I might have experience with. But, there's not really, it's not a digestible clip anymore for me to be like, well, yep, I just paid my, my county property taxes or whatever. And I just, spent a day polishing this, whatever. It's very mundane, but responsible activities compared to where I was before, where I'm showing up drunk and with a bandana on my head and like, let's go, we're gonna take over the world. That's what gets clipped. But yeah, me like talking about like caulking my windows for better insulation during the winter is not exactly like an inspiring clippable moment. You have like a million different people on YouTube that are all doing things like that. So that's kind of a little bit of the reason why I wanted to come back, because as responsible in everything that I have been, then all these positive, like objectively positive changes I make, I'm like, now I'm just Joe Schmo. I'm over here, in the paint aisle with everybody, and I'm looking at colors, and I'm looking at, I'm talking about this guy Bronze Age Pervert who was controversial on Twitter for different reasons, but many years ago he had a tweet that was like, you were at wine bar with girlfriend. Ancient man put cities to flame and swords. You are gay. I'm a man. I do wine tastings and cheese tastings, and I look at paints. And as maybe agreeable as all that is, and people would say, don't give that up to go like be an internet freak or whatever. I feel like there's a balance that maybe I would like to strike, where I could still be involved with what's going on and not be so, just beiged, so assimilated into all of it. I like to, still kind of have a little bit of that raw energy and spirit. And I think I feel like that it does have a place in being a necessity in the modern day, because as comfortable as that is, unfortunately, there's a lot of uncomfortable things happening out here in the world. And if you get too addicted to comfort, I feel like, I did a lot of things for many years. I would intentionally sleep on concrete. I would, like make explosions and bells go off at certain times so that I was never sleeping more than like a certain amount. I tried to stay very like on my toes, very observant, very like cognizant of everything around me, and very survivalist. And once I went back to work, like I said, 2022, and the internet stuff wasn't working out so much, I was immediately making much more money. And so because of that, it gave me all kinds of indulgences and comforts that I had been abstaining from intentionally for all these years. And for all the positives, I feel like it did make me softer and a little bit more coddled. And so I'm just trying to be back in the mix of things and try and get a little bit of my flame back a little bit, get the lights turned up a little bit more type of deal.
and I'm glad you're back. And these streams are awesome. And this podcast was awesome. Thank you for coming on the show. Like I love listening to your reviews lately on the Sammy and Jimmy's Treehouse podcast with the film reviews. Is it Kino? So, and it's also awesome to talk to you again. This is technically our second podcast because of that RV show that I called into and made some snarky comments. Yeah.
I guess we didn't do. We haven't been together on an episode of movies at all, have we?
That would be fun. Now that would be particularly fun. Or if I could have the privilege of being a guest on Is It Kina, that would be great. But I'm not pressuring anybody. I'm not, no. But that would be awesome, and I love that show.
Well, I know my good friend Simmy and Jimmy. I think he sat down with you for an episode, like a month ago or however long it was.
Yes.
And I think he was pretty having a good time. So I do hope one day we could, find a Kino to both all draw our eyes to together. But it ain't my show, so hey, I mean,
yeah. Of course.
I'm just along for the ride. But hey, one of these days, I'm sure we will.
Of course. And thank you for coming on to the show. Links in the description to your channel if you want to check out some amazing live streams. Fuck with your boy, Egg White. Thank you for coming on the show. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Give a review on Spotify, and peace out.